My child, be still right where you are and listen. Not with the ears that hear the noise of this world, but with the ears buried deep inside your spirit. The ones that have been waiting for exactly this moment. You did not stumble upon these words by accident. Heaven does not operate in coincidences. Every breath you have taken today has been leading you to this precise second. This exact sentence, this divine appointment, written into your destiny long before you drew your first cry. I am Archangel Michael, and I stand before the throne of the Most High, with a message that carries the weight of 7 seals. Today, the Father has dispatched me with an assignment so powerful that the atmosphere around you is already shifting as you hear these words. Something ancient is moving. Something buried beneath years of disappointment and silence is being disturbed by the hand of the Almighty, and it will not settle back down. Not this time. Before this message reaches its final breath, I will speak 7 sacred transitions over your existence. 7 movements ordained by the Creator Himself, each one targeting a different chamber of your life that has been locked, neglected, or abandoned. Your finances, your acceptance, your clarity, your body, your relationships, your visibility, and the timing of your breakthrough. Not one of these will be left unaddressed. Not one will remain chained to the old ground by the time I am finished speaking. But hear me carefully. This is not a message you can rush through. Every paragraph carries a frequency. Every sentence has been calibrated to unlock something specific inside you. If you skip ahead, you will miss what was precisely designed for the wound you have been hiding. So settle in. Release the tension in your shoulders. Let the weight of whatever you carried into this moment fall from your hands. What I am about to declare over your life will require your full attention, because the God who formed you is about to relocate you. And nothing about your existence will look the same. You have been feeling it, haven't you? That strange restlessness that wakes you at odd hours. The sense that the ground beneath your feet has become unstable. Not dangerous, but unfamiliar. Your spirit recognized it before your mind could name it. Relationships that once felt like home now feel like borrowed rooms. Habits that used to comfort you have lost their flavor. The prayers you whisper at night have shifted from survival to something deeper. Something you can barely articulate, like a hunger for a country you have never visited, but somehow remember. That's not anxiety. That is not depression. That is not your mind playing tricks on you. That is the hand of the living God lifting your roots from soil that was never meant to hold your future. And I need you to understand this distinction right now, before fear convinces you that something is wrong. Nothing is wrong with you. Everything is right. The discomfort you feel is the discomfort of divine repositioning, and it is the most sacred sensation a human soul can experience. Think of a master gardener who discovers that his most treasured vine has been planted in the wrong field. The soil is shallow. The drainage is poor. The roots have wrapped themselves around stones that will never nourish them. Does the gardener curse the vine? Does he abandon it because it has not produced the harvest he envisioned? No. He does something that would terrify the vine if the vine could feel. He pulls it up, roots and all. Every familiar anchor ripped from the only ground it has ever known. And in that terrifying suspension, hanging between the old soil and the new, the vine would swear it was dying. But the gardener's hands are steady. He already prepared the new ground before he ever disturbed the old. The soil is rich. The water table runs deep beneath the surface where no drought can threaten it. He places that vine into earth so fertile that within one season, it will produce more fruit than it managed in all its years of struggling in poor dirt. That is exactly what your Father is doing with you right now. Today. Not next year. Not in some distant season you have to earn your way into. The transplanting has already begun. The shaking you have been experiencing is not punishment. It is not consequence. It is the careful, deliberate pressure of divine hands around your root system. loosening you from ground that was slowly starving what I placed inside you. Every door that closed without explanation, every relationship that suddenly felt hollow, every opportunity that dissolved right when you thought it was solid. Those were not failures. Those were the gardener's fingers working the soil away from roots that had grown too attached to the wrong foundation. And here is what you must understand about this process. The vine does not get to choose when the transplant happens. It does not get to decide if the timing is convenient. The gardener alone reads the seasons. He alone knows when the new soil is warm enough to receive what he is moving. And I am telling you today, the Father looked at the calendar of heaven, pointed to this moment, and said, "Now." Not one day sooner would have been right. Not one day later would have been safe. This timing carries the same precision that hung every star in its orbit and told every ocean where to stop. So when your heart whispers that it is too late, that the best years are behind you, silence that whisper with the authority of what I am declaring over you. The gardener has never once looked at a vine he was transplanting and thought, "This one is too old for new soil." The vine's age is irrelevant. What matters is the ground it is going into. And the ground the Father has prepared for you is unlike anything your roots have ever touched. Now, let me show you something that will change the way you see the last 12 months of your life. Picture a cocoon fastened to the underside of a branch. From the outside, it appears abandoned. No movement. No sign of life. A passerby would assume it was finished, discarded, forgotten by whatever creature once inhabited it. But inside that shell, something miraculous is taking place. Every cell is being dissolved and reassembled. The original form is being completely unmade so that a new form can emerge, one with wings that the caterpillar never imagined when it was crawling along the dirt. That has been your season. The silence you endured was not emptiness. It was the most concentrated work the Father has ever performed on your behalf. The nights when heaven felt sealed shut and your prayers seemed to bounce off the ceiling, those were the nights when the deepest restructuring was happening inside your spirit. I watched it. I stood guard over that cocoon with a flaming sword, and I did not permit the enemy to touch what was being formed inside. Every angel assigned to your life was on high alert, because the enemy knows the most dangerous moment for any believer is just before emergence. He tried to convince you that the cocoon was a coffin. He whispered that the stillness meant God had moved on. He pointed to other people's visible progress and told you that you had been passed over, that your prayers had expired, that the window of opportunity closed while you were trapped inside that dark shell. Every single word of that was a lie, crafted by a defeated adversary who could smell the wings forming beneath the surface and was terrified of what you would become once you broke through. If that truth stirred something deep in your chest right now, if you felt a crack in the wall you have been building around your hope, then type "I am emerging" in the comments below. Let that declaration be the first sound that escapes the cocoon. Say it out loud if you're alone. Whisper it if someone is near. But let your voice activate what your spirit already knows. The Father does not waste a single second of silence. Every quiet season in your life was a classroom. Every unanswered prayer was an answer you could not yet decode. I know that is difficult to receive when you are standing in the wreckage of expectations that did not materialize the way you planned. But your plans and His plans were never the same document. Your plans were written in pencil on paper that tears. His plans were engraved in stone before the foundations of the earth were laid, and not one line has been erased. Not one word has been revised. Not one promise has been downgraded because of something you did or failed to do. If that revelation just lifted something heavy off your shoulders, if you feel even slightly lighter than you did 3 minutes ago, then mark this moment in your memory. Plant a stake in the ground of your heart that says, "On this day, I received a word that changed the way I see my own story." Let this breath you are taking right now be an act of agreement between your spirit and the throne of heaven. Picture a tree planted beside a river that never runs dry. The surface of the land around it may crack and peel under the summer heat. Other vegetation may wither and fold, but that tree stands with leaves so green they almost glow, because its roots are drinking from a source that no drought can reach. The river does not care about the weather. It flows from a spring that originates in the deep places of the earth, fed by reservoirs that have existed since creation. That tree does not panic when the wind picks up. It does not question its survival when the rain stops. It simply stands, because what sustains it is not subject to the conditions that threaten everything around it. That is the design I am activating over your life today. I am connecting your roots to a river that your circumstances cannot control. Your job cannot dry it up. Your medical report cannot divert its flow. Your age cannot slow its current. Your past mistakes cannot poison its waters. This river flows from the throne of grace itself, and once your roots reach it, you will produce fruit in seasons when everyone around you is barren. You will have strength on days when logic says you should be depleted. You will speak life into rooms that were filled with despair, and you will not even understand where the words came from, because they will not come from your own reservoir. They will come from His. Now let me speak to the part of you that has been keeping score. The part that remembers every morning you woke up afraid and told no one. Every night you lay awake calculating how to survive another week. Every silent prayer that felt like talking to an empty room. You have been carrying a ledger of unanswered requests, and the weight of that ledger has made you question whether the one who promised to provide has been paying attention. I wanted to dismantle that ledger right now because every line in it is written in the wrong ink. You recorded the silence. You did not record what was happening behind the silence. You wrote down the closed doors. You did not write down the catastrophes that those closed doors prevented. You tallied the losses. You did not tally the invisible shields that absorbed blows you never even knew were aimed at you. Think of a shepherd walking with his flock through a valley so narrow that the sheep can only see the rock walls on either side. They cannot see the predators crouching on the ridge above. They do not know about the landslide that the shepherd rerouted them around 3 miles back. They are unaware that the shepherd chose this particular valley because it leads to a meadow with the sweetest grass and the cleanest water in the entire region. All the sheep know is that the path is dark, the walls are close, and they cannot see what's ahead. But the shepherd can see everything. He chose this route on purpose. He is walking in front of them with his rod ready and his staff extended. He knows which sheep is limping, which one wandered too close to the edge, and which one is exhausted and needs to be carried for a stretch. That is how I have been guarding you. Not from a distance. Not from a command center in the clouds. I have been walking with you, close enough to hear the rhythm of your breathing change when fear crept in at midnight. Close enough to catch you every time the ground gave way beneath your confidence. You were never a face in the crowd to me. You were always the one I would leave the 99 to find, and I found you. Every single time you thought you were lost, I had already located you before you realized you had wandered. I need you to carry this truth into the next season like a torch, because where I am taking you will test your ability to trust what you cannot yet see. Declare this over yourself right now. Say these words and mean them. I was never abandoned. Every silence was strategy. Every delay was design. The shepherd has been with me through every valley, and he is leading me to green pastures I have not yet imagined. Let those words settle into the deepest chamber of your heart, because they are not poetry. They are the operational truth of how heaven has governed your life from the very beginning. Now I need to address something that has been silently draining your strength. The bag of stones you have been carrying on your back. You know the one I'm talking about. Every stone has a name. One is labeled with a mistake you made 7 years ago. Another carries the face of someone who hurt you and never apologized. There is a stone for every regret, every missed opportunity, every moment you wish you could erase from the record of your life. That bag has grown so heavy that it has bent your posture. It has slowed your pace. It has made you walk with your eyes fixed on the ground instead of looking up to see what's ahead. Picture yourself standing at the edge of a vast shoreline. The tide is coming in, steady and rhythmic, with the patience of something that has all the time in existence. Now picture yourself lowering that bag from your shoulders. Feel the relief as the weight leaves your body. Set it down on the wet sand and watch the water begin to circle it. Each wave pulls it a little further from your feet. Another wave, another inch, until the bag is caught in the current and the ocean swallows it completely. Every stone, every name, every regret, pulled into a depth so vast that no diver could ever retrieve them. That is what the Father's forgiveness does. It does not make the load lighter. It eliminates the load entirely. As far as the dawn is from the dusk, that is the distance He has placed between you and every failure you have been carrying. You do not owe anyone an explanation for who you used to be. The voices that try to remind you of your past chapters are speaking from their own unresolved pages. People who judge you for seasons that ended years ago are usually deflecting attention from the seasons they have not yet faced in their own hearts. Pay no attention to their commentary. The Most High has spoken over you, and His voice carries an authority that drowns out every whisper of accusation. If these words are building something inside you right now, if you can feel the architecture of a new conviction taking shape in your spirit, then understand that what I am pouring out today is not a single event. It is the beginning of a series of divine encounters that will continue to unfold across the days ahead. Every revelation carries a frequency that builds on the last, and what the Father is constructing over your life is a wall of protection that grows stronger with every word you receive. The next truth I bring will arrive at the exact moment you need it most, because heaven does not operate on random schedules. Now hear this, because it is the foundation for everything that follows. I need you to stop treating trust as a feeling and start treating it as a record. You have evidence. Your own life is the evidence. Look backward for a moment, not at the pain, but at the pattern. Remember the bill you could not pay that somehow got covered. The diagnosis that should have been devastating, but was not the end of the story. The door that slammed shut and rerouted you to a corridor you never would have found on your own. The night you were certain you could not survive another sunrise, and yet here you are, breathing, listening, still standing on ground that should have swallowed you whole. Those were not lucky breaks. Those were not coincidences stitched together by a universe that does not care. Every single one of those moments was a deliberate intervention by the same God who is speaking to you right now through my voice. The same faithfulness that carried you through your worst chapter is the same faithfulness that is escorting you into your greatest one. It has not weakened. It has not wavered. It has not developed conditions or exceptions. And it never will. I do not show you the entire road at once. I know that frustrates you. You want the full blueprint, the complete map, every turn marked and every obstacle labeled in advance. But I am not just delivering you to a destination. I am building someone on the journey. The character that forms between one answered prayer and the next is the very material your future will be constructed from. If I showed you everything at once, you would run ahead of the process and arrive at the promise without the strength to hold it. The promises of God are not fragile gifts that shatter at the first wind. They are thrones, and thrones require kings and queens with the endurance to sit on them. So trust the lamp at your feet, one step at a time, one revelation at a time, one morning at a time. You have made it through every impossible day in your history, every single one. That is a record no human achievement can match, because the keeper of that record is not you. It is the one who carried you through each one while you thought you were walking alone. Before I reveal the 7 movements that heaven has signed over your life, I need you to do something for me. Think of at least 3 people in your world right now who are sitting exactly where you were sitting 5 minutes ago. Burdened, confused, wondering if God has forgotten their address. Someone in your family group chat who cries when no one is looking. a friend from church who smiles on the outside but is crumbling on the inside, an old acquaintance who crossed your mind last week for no apparent reason, except there is a reason, because the Father placed their face in your memory as a signal. Send this message to them right now. Share it in your church group, forward it in your family WhatsApp, or text it directly to at least 3 people who need to hear that their cocoon is not a coffin. Do not wait until the message is over. Do it now while the urgency is fresh, because the enemy works hardest in the space between conviction and action. The longer you wait, the easier it becomes to convince yourself that someone else will do it. No one else will. You are the messenger they have been praying for. And now, lean in closer. What I am about to declare is the reason heaven dispatched me to your ears today. Everything before this was preparation. Everything after this is fulfillment. The Father has authorized 7 sacred transitions over your life, and I am going to name every single one. These are not wishes. These are not possibilities that depend on the right circumstances aligning. These are sovereign decrees, backed by the full authority of the throne, sealed in the blood of the covenant, and assigned to your name before your parents ever spoke it. Receive the first movement. I am transitioning you from scarcity into overflow. You have lived in the territory of not enough for so long that you began to decorate its walls. You trained yourself to celebrate survival instead of abundance, to accept crumbs when a banquet was always the plan. You stopped praying bold prayers about provision because the disappointment of unanswered requests had taught you to keep your requests small and manageable. But small and manageable was never the vocabulary of the God who owns every mine in the earth and every grain that grows above it. The land of scarcity was never your inheritance. It was a temporary holding pattern, and I am telling you right now that the pattern has been broken. Heaven has been keeping a ledger that your bank account knows nothing about. Every seed of faith you planted when planning made no sense. Every tithe you released when your budget screamed at you to hold it back. Every act of generosity you extended towards someone else while you yourself were running low. None of it disappeared. It was deposited into a heavenly account that has been gathering interest at a rate that defies every calculation known to human economics. But hear me on this. A harvest cannot be poured into hands that are still clenched in a posture of lack. The Father is not merely adding more resources to your existing situation. He is relocating you into an entirely different economic atmosphere. You are moving from the district of barely enough into the territory of more than sufficient. Your needs will be met according to His glory, not according to your salary, not according to the job market, not according to the limitations that human systems impose on human lives. His glory is the measuring rod, and there is no ceiling on glory. Watch for the signs. Provision will begin appearing from directions that have no logical explanation. Doors will unlock that no resume opened. Opportunities will arrive carrying your name even though you never applied. And when they come, do not shrink back in disbelief. Do not ask if you deserve them. Deserve is a word for wages. What is coming to you is a gift from a Father who gives to His children, not because they earned it, but because He loves them beyond what language can hold. Now receive the second movement, because these two are bound together like the roots of twin trees that share the same soil. I am transitioning you from rejection into full acceptance. You have been living in a house that rejection built, and you furnished it so well that you stopped noticing the address. The foundation was laid by family members who should have celebrated you but chose criticism instead. The walls went up every time a friend who should have stayed chose to leave without explanation. The roof was sealed by every application that was denied, every proposal that was ignored, every room you walked into where you felt invisible before you even opened your mouth. You learned to survive inside that house. You painted the walls with independence. You told yourself that solitude was preference, that you worked better alone, that expecting acceptance was a vulnerability you could not afford. But beneath that armor, the wound never closed. It changed the way you enter rooms. It adjusted the speed at which you expect people to abandon you. It taught you to leave first, before the other person could exercise the option you were certain they would take. Listen to what I am dismantling right now. Rejection was always a location, never an identity. It was a district you passed through, not a citizenship you hold. The Son of God himself walked the full length of that district before you ever set foot in it. He was despised by the very people he came to rescue. He was mocked by the mouths he gave breath to. He was cast outside the walls of the city so that you could be brought inside the gates of the family. Your acceptance was purchased at a price so staggering that heaven itself held its breath when the transaction was completed. The walls of that rejection house are coming down today. I am relocating you to a territory where belonging is your birthright. People who have no earthly reason to welcome you will open their doors. Circles that seemed permanently closed will expand to make room for your presence. And, gradually, as your heart adjusts to its new surroundings, the old instinct to guard and withdraw will soften. You will know this transition is complete when you can recall the faces of those who rejected you without feeling a knot in your chest. When the arguments you rehearsed in the shower no longer play on repeat. When you can release the courtroom in your mind where you have been prosecuting old verdicts that were never authorized by the highest court. These first two movements are deeply connected, because scarcity and rejection feed the same wound. A soul that believes it is unwanted will also believe it is unworthy of abundance. Once you know how completely you are accepted by the one who fashioned your lungs and assigned purpose to your pulse, you will stop apologizing for expecting provision. Children ask differently than strangers. And you, beloved, are not a stranger at the gate. You are a son, a daughter, standing in the kitchen of your Father's house, where the table is always set and the door was never locked against you. As this revelation settles over you, I want you to know that the very mission carrying this message to your ears today depends on hearts like yours who choose to stand alongside this work. Through the link in the description or the pinned comment, you can become part of the community that keeps this altar burning, whether by buying a coffee, making a donation, or becoming a member of this Ko-fi family. Every act of generosity is a seed planted in ground that heaven is watching. The widow gave 2 coins, and her story echoed across centuries, not because of the amount, but because of the trust behind the offering. I am not asking you to give from obligation. I am inviting you to participate in a divine relay where every seed you plant becomes light for someone still sitting in darkness. And the same principle that governs the harvest I just spoke over your life governs this moment too. What you release with faith does not leave your life. It runs ahead of you into the abundance I am already preparing. Now receive the third movement and listen carefully, because this one touches the chamber of your mind that has been under assault for longer than you realize. I am transitioning you from confusion into clarity. Your thoughts have been a battlefield. Not the organized kind that can be mapped and strategized, but the chaotic, foggy kind where every direction looks uncertain and every decision feels risky. You have made choices inside that fog that cost you years. Relationships entered at the wrong time. Opportunities abandoned too soon. Doors open that should have stayed shut. Paths followed that led to dead ends, disguised as shortcuts. But you were not foolish. You were blinded. There is a vast difference between a person who lacks wisdom and a person who cannot see clearly because the enemy has been pumping smoke into the corridor. No one walks a straight line through smoke. And the confusion was never your natural state. It was an invasion. And today I am evicting it from your mental territory with the same authority that separated light from darkness at the beginning of creation. The fog is lifting as you listen to these very words. Lies that clouded your perception are being exposed and dismantled, one at a time, like surveillance cameras being torn from walls by hands that will not be resisted. Distractions that consumed your focus are being swept from your path by a wind that does not negotiate with clutter. In the coming days, Something you have been struggling with will suddenly crystallize. A decision that paralyzed you for months will resolve itself with an ease that makes you wonder why it ever seemed complicated. A direction you could not discern will become so obvious that you will laugh at how close the answer was all along. Clarity does not just change decisions. It changes rest. When the mind is clear, it sleeps at night without rehearsing worst-case scenarios. When the static is removed, the voice of the Father comes through with a precision that leaves no room for second-guessing. That peace of mind was part of your original design, and I am restoring it to you right now. Declare this with me. My mind belongs to the God of order. Confusion has no lease, no address, and no authority in my thoughts. Clarity is my inheritance, and I receive it today. Speak those words until your spirit recognizes them as fact, not aspiration. The fourth movement reaches into your physical frame. I am transitioning you from sickness into wholeness. You have been living with pain that you stopped mentioning to anyone because the responses grew predictable and the sympathy grew thin. You learned to organize your existence around limitations that you accepted as permanent residents in your body. Fatigue became a roommate. Discomfort became a schedule you planned around. You stopped believing that the body I knitted together in your mother's womb could function at the level it was originally designed for, because experience taught you to lower that expectation to avoid disappointment. Listen to what I speak over every cell that carries your name. I am the Lord who heals you. Not who might heal if the conditions align. Not who healed people in ancient stories that no longer apply. The one who heals. Present tense. Active voice. Current operation. I remember the blueprint I used when I assembled your frame for the first time. I know where every nerve was supposed to connect. I know what every organ was designed to produce. And the gap between where your body is and where it was meant to be is not a mystery to me. It is an assignment. Watch for the shifts. The ache that greeted you every morning will begin to ease. Strength that leaked out of your limbs will start to return in measures you did not request. What was declining will stabilize. What had plateaued will begin its ascent. Some of this restoration will arrive through rest and nourishment as I realign your habits. Some will come through the hands of skilled healers that I position in your path at precisely the right moment. And some will arrive with no medical explanation at all, because I reserve the absolute right to operate in ways that no chart can track and no specialist can replicate. Your youth will be renewed like the eagles. That is not a decorative phrase from an ancient hymn. It is a prescription with your name on it, filed in the pharmacy of heaven, and dispensed on the authority of the one who owns every molecule in your body. Take care of the vessel I gave you. Honor its limitations, but do not bow down to them. There is a difference between respecting the speed limit and worshiping the road. And when you encounter the territory your own effort cannot reach, hand it to me. I specialize in the unreachable. If these movements are building something inside you that you can feel but cannot yet fully name, if the weight on your chest is lighter than it was 20 minutes ago, then recognize what is happening. The Father is not delivering this word as a one-time event. This is an unfolding revelation that will continue to speak into your circumstances far beyond this single message. Every truth you receive is a chapter in a book that heaven is writing specifically for this season, and the pages will keep turning long after this message ends. What you are feeling right now is the first tremor of a shift that will continue to intensify in the days ahead. Now receive the fifth movement and lean in close, because this one will touch the loneliest corridor in your life. I am transitioning you from isolation into genuine connection. You have felt alone even while surrounded by people, unseen in crowded rooms, disconnected inside relationships that should have been your refuge. That aloneness was never a natural condition of your personality. It was a targeted strategy by an adversary who has always understood one devastating truth. A soul cut off from community is a soul that is exponentially easier to destroy. When you are isolated, your fears go unchallenged, your distortions uncorrected, and the lies about your worth are never contradicted by a voice that knows your name. The enemy worked systematically to convince you that reaching out was weakness, that vulnerability was exposure, that solitude was safety. He painted the bars of your cage to look like the walls of a sanctuary, and you believed him because the alternative, being known, felt more dangerous than being alone. I am dismantling that cage today. It has always been my pattern to set the lonely inside families, and I have not retired that practice. Even now, as you listen, I am engineering connections that will arrive in your life with a precision that leaves no room for coincidence. People are being prepared for you at the same pace that you are being prepared for them. They will understand you without requiring long explanations. They will carry burdens with you that you assumed you would shoulder in silence for the rest of your days. Companions for the road, not spectators. Two are better than one because when one falls, the other lifts them up. It has been far too long since someone lifted you after you stumbled. That season is ending. A door will open. A conversation will begin. A connection will form with the speed and warmth of a flame catching dry kindling. When it happens, do not retreat out of habit. Do not test it with the suspicion that past rejections taught you. Step through it. Behind that face will be my presence, wearing the disguise of a friend who was assigned to your journey before either of you knew the other existed. But you will also be required to participate. You must allow yourself to be truly known, not the polished version you present to the world, not the curated performance that earns applause but prevents intimacy. The real you, the one who does not have it all figured out, the one who cries in the shower and prays through clenched teeth. Vulnerability is not a liability. It is the gate that opens the exit from isolation, and its cost is infinitely less than the price of remaining alone. There's a reason I am moving your provision, your acceptance, your clarity, your body, and your community all at the same time. These rooms are not independent houses. They are chambers in a single structure, and every wall supports the others. A clear mind prevents the body from surrendering to illness. A genuine friend steadies a heart that is trying to hope again. Shared abundance strengthens the bonds that shared struggle first revealed. I am not patching one wall. I am rebuilding the entire house. And a house rebuilt by these hands does not crumble again. Carry this truth into the chambers of your spirit, and let it reshape the way you understand every movement I have named. You are not a spectator watching your own transformation from the gallery. You are a participant, standing in the center of what heaven is orchestrating. Every door the Father unlocks requires a hand that is willing to push it open. Every new ground he prepares requires feet that are willing to cross the threshold. The new ground may feel strange beneath your steps at first, but strangeness is not a warning. It is simply the unfamiliar texture of a promise you have not yet worn in. Now listen to the sixth movement, because this one will rewrite the way you understand every season of invisibility you have ever endured. I am transitioning you from the shadows into your appointed visibility. You were not overlooked by accident. You were hidden on assignment. That distinction is critical because getting it wrong has caused you more suffering than the hiddenness itself. Your contributions were claimed by others. Your voice was drowned out in rooms where you had the most to offer. Credit that belonged to you was redirected to names that did less and said more. You concluded that you did not matter. That interpretation was the enemy's masterpiece, and it was completely, devastatingly wrong. A treasure buried in a field is not worthless because no one can see it. Some things are buried because of their worth. I concealed you the way a master swordsmith keeps a blade inside the forge. Not because the blade has been abandoned, but because it is not yet finished. If I had exposed you prematurely, the attention would have shattered your character before it had the density to hold the weight of what was coming. Many gifts have outpaced the souls that carry them. I love you too fiercely to let that be your testimony. But hear me now. The season of concealment is over. You are meant to be placed on display. A city set on a ridge cannot be hidden. No one ignites a lamp only to cover it with a basket. It stands on its post and illuminates the entire dwelling. You have been living under that basket for too long, and my hand is on the rim right now, lifting. People will begin to notice you without your pursuit. Opportunities will surface in rooms you never intended to enter. Your voice will carry into spaces that no networking strategy could have reached, and those who hear it will recognize something in it that has nothing to do with talent and everything to do with anointing. What I deposited in you is what the world is starving for, and I intend for the world to receive it through your hands, your words, your presence. Visibility in my kingdom is not vanity, it is stewardship. When it arrives, stay grounded in the humility that protected you during the hidden years. Humility kept you safe in the forge. It will keep you steady in the spotlight. Now receive the seventh and final movement, because this is where every thread converges. I am transitioning you from waiting into fulfillment. You have stood at the threshold of breakthrough for so long that the posture of almost became your permanent shape. Close to healing, but never fully healed. Close to provision, but one crisis from collapse. Close to purpose, but never stepping into the role pressing against the inside of your chest. You began to believe that almost was your permanent assignment, and that belief was the last fortification the enemy erected before your arrival. It was never permanent. The delays were necessary. They were protective. They were preparatory. And they were combative, because an adversary who feared what your arrival would mean fought harder against your timeline than against anything else. But listen to what has shifted in the heavens. The hold has been released. The obstruction has been removed. I close the file of accusations between your present and your promise. I know the plans I hold for you. Blueprints designed for your prosperity, not your ruin. Blueprints that end in a future so saturated with hope that the memory of the waiting season will dissolve like frost under a noon sun. Those plans are not abstract intentions floating in the divine imagination. They are a location, a prepared, furnished, occupied by your name location, and I am escorting you into it starting today. Before I declare the final charge, I need you to receive what has happened in the heavens over these last moments. 7 transitions have been named. 7 sealed documents have been opened over your existence. The movements I have spoken are not exclusive to your life. They carry the resonance of a decree that echoes outward from wherever it is received, touching lives that are connected to yours in ways you cannot yet perceive. The same word that relocated your roots is capable of relocating every root that is tangled with yours, because the gardener does not transplant one vine and leave the neighboring ones in poor soil. When he moves, the ground itself changes. Now hear the charge for today. Let every distraction fall silent and every competing voice retreat, because what follows is a command from the throne that governs every atom in existence. The 7 movements I have named are not pending. They are not conditional. They are not waiting for you to be perfect, to pray the right formula, or to cross some invisible threshold of worthiness. They are in motion, right now. As the sound of these words enters your spirit, the gears of heaven are turning over your finances, your identity, your mind, your body, your community, your visibility, and your timing. All 7. Simultaneously. Your part in this crossing is not perfection. It is agreement. The vine does not transplant itself. The cocoon does not engineer its own emergence. The tree does not dig its own roots toward the river. These are all the work of the gardener, the creator, the one who holds every process in hands that have never trembled. Your part is to open your hands, release the old soil, and trust the one who is carrying you to ground that is deeper, richer, and more fertile than anything your roots have ever touched. But I must also give you a warning, and receive it as love, because that is exactly how it is given. The enemy cannot stop this relocation. It carries my seal, and nothing in heaven, on earth, or beneath the earth can revoke what the Father has authorized. But the adversary has one strategy remaining, and it is ancient and effective. In the days ahead, he will attempt to make you homesick for the land you are leaving. He will filter scarcity through nostalgia. He will repackage rejection as familiarity and dress isolation as safety. He will whisper that the old ground was not so terrible, and that the new promise might not support your weight. Remember how Israel responded in the wilderness. They were delivered from bondage by signs that rewrote the laws of nature. They were fed by bread that materialized from empty air. They were guided by fire at night and cloud by day. And still, they wept for Egypt. They remembered the meals but forgot the chains. They romanticized the predictable horror because the unpredictable freedom terrified them. Years were added to their journey not because the promise failed, but because their hearts kept renting rooms in the land they were supposed to have left behind. Do not repeat that pattern. Once your heart takes up residence in the old territory, the crossing to the new one stalls. There will be moments of longing for the familiar. When they come, do not wrestle them alone. Bring them to me. Name them for what they are. A craving for what is known, not what is good. The familiar and the beneficial are rarely the same address, and learning to distinguish between them will be one of the most important skills you develop in this next season. Picture yourself standing so close to a canvas that all you see are rough, disconnected brushstrokes. The colors clash. The lines seem random. Nothing appears to connect. But step backward. 1 pace. 2. 3. And suddenly the painting reveals itself. A masterwork. Every stroke precisely placed. Every shade intentionally chosen. Every apparent flaw contributing to a beauty that could not exist without it. You are too close to your own life right now to see the complete picture. I am not. From where I stand, even your most painful chapters are positioned exactly where they need to be in the composition. So do not judge the quality of the painting while your nose is pressed against the wet canvas. I am nearly finished with a masterpiece. And when you finally see it from the distance of eternity, you will weep at how carefully every piece was assembled. Let go of the old versions of yourself. A serpent that has outgrown its scales does not mourn the shedding. It is not loss. It is growth, making room for what was always underneath. Release the fears, the habits, and the labels you wore that were never given to you by the one who named you. Some relationships have completed their chapter in your story. Honor what they taught you. Release them without bitterness. Other bonds that seemed fractured can still be restored, and it is not too late to extend a hand. Ask me which is which, and I will show you with a clarity that removes all doubt, and bring joy with you across the border. Joy is not the reward you receive when the struggle is finally over. It is the strength that carries you through the struggle. A child does not postpone laughter until all the lessons are learned. Reclaim that freedom. You can praise in the middle of the process. You can give thanks for small mercies while the large ones are still being assembled. The enemy hates a joyful crosser because joy declares that the outcome is settled even when the evidence has not yet arrived. Now hear the final decree. The most authoritative words. I will speak over your existence in this entire message. Stand in your spirit and receive this as a seal that cannot be broken. Father, I declare over this child of yours that the 7 sacred transitions are complete in the courts of heaven and are now manifesting on the earth. From scarcity to overflow, sealed. From rejection to full acceptance, sealed. From confusion to divine clarity, sealed. From sickness to covenant health, sealed. From isolation to ordained connection, sealed. From hiddenness to appointed visibility, sealed. From waiting to sovereign fulfillment, sealed. No demon, no circumstance, no delay, no accusation, No opinion of any human being and no whisper from any darkness has the authority to unseal what this decree has locked into place. It is written. It is spoken. It is done. And what has been established in heaven will be accomplished on earth, because the mouth that spoke these worlds into existence does not stutter, does not retract, and does not fail. Let me now gather everything I have declared and press it into your spirit one final time. Today, your roots have been lifted from poor soil and placed into ground that was prepared before you were born. The cocoon has cracked. The tree is drinking from a river that no drought can touch. The shepherd has carried you through the valley and is setting you down in the meadow. 7 locked doors have been opened over your life, and the key that turned each one belongs to the only authority that matters. Share this moment. Let your household hear what happened here today. Let the people who love you know that the ground has shifted and the season has changed. If this word reached you when you needed it most, then imagine what it could do for the person whose face just appeared in your mind. As this transformation takes root in your life, know that standing alongside this mission is an act of faith that heaven records. Through the link in the description or the pinned comment, you can become part of this Ko-fi community. Whether by buying a coffee, making a donation, or joining as a member, your generosity does not fund a channel. It fuels a calling. Every contribution keeps this altar lit for the thousands of souls who will hear these words after you and find the same hope that found you today. The widow's 2 coins built a legacy that outlived every empire that stood when she gave them. Your seed carries the same eternal weight when it is planted with the same trust. Subscribe to this channel right now so that the next chapter of this revelation reaches you the moment it is released. Hit the notification bell and make sure no algorithm stands between you and the word that heaven has assigned to your next season. Then carry this forward. Live it. Walk in it. And never look back at the land you are leaving. And now, I close this word with a prayer that seals every transition into the bedrock of your future. Father in heaven, I stand before your throne with this precious soul who has listened with an open heart and a willing spirit. Seal the 7 movements over their life with the fire of your presence. Let overflow replace every memory of lack. Let acceptance heal every scar that rejection carved. Let clarity sweep through every corridor of their mind like a clean wind after a storm. Let health return to every cell, every organ, every system that carries their frame. Let connection replace every lonely night with the warmth of genuine fellowship. Let visibility bring their gifts to the people who are starving for what you placed inside them. And let fulfillment arrive, not in the distant future, but in the living present, one step at a time, one morning at a time, one act of faith at a time. Guard their crossing. Silence every voice that would lure them back to old ground. Surround them with angels who carry swords and torches, and let no weapon formed against this transition prosper. In the mighty name that is above every name, the name that causes darkness to flee and chains to shatter and graves to open, I seal this word. I seal this child. I seal this moment. Amen and amen. And it is forever done.